The next presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is on Kata strategies for web application security. And to deliver it, I will invite Mr. Venkatesh Sundar, founder and CMO, Indusface. All yours, Venkatesh.
It's my pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about Kata strategies for web application security. I had a lot of fun preparing this presentation and a lot of learning too from the research. And I'm hoping that the audience will be able to take away something from this presentation. So the topic is Kata strategies. So let's start with what is Kata. So Kata is continuous adaptive risk and trust assessment, right? So that is what it stands for. And it is a terminology that has been coined by Gartner. And Gartner coined it 2 years back. In a nutshell, what Kata is, it's a framework, and it provides a common terminology and a common language based on security assessment and security frameworks can be discussed about, measured, and actionable. And it's become a very big trending along with Kata and Zero Trust. These are two frameworks which are trending, and certainly one of the key aspects that many CISOs are looking to implement those concepts as part of their cybersecurity strategy. Today, as an application security company and an application security firm, that we are going to map Kata specific to how it applies to web application security, right? And the reason we have been doing it is, even though Kata is recent and coined 2 years back, these concepts and frameworks, we have been applying them prior to 2018, and it's just that now it has got a name called Kata. To simplify one of the underpinning objectives of how I look at Kata, it helps business owners understand, measure, and take security decisions. There are a lot of technology elements to it, but it's basically helping people simplify their decision making around security. So I'm not going to go into each of the Kata imperatives the way Gartner has laid it out. There is a link to the document we provided. You can go ahead and look at each of those imperatives. Gartner has split it down into 7 imperatives that CISOs and security professionals should consider as part of the cyber security strategy for operations. I'm going to map them in the context of application security. Kata in the context of application security is what I will be trying to decipher and put down the points on how we look at it. So let's go through each of the 7 imperatives and see how it fits into application security framework based on which you can take actions on that. Imperative 1 is security. I mean, there is a cliche that security is not an endpoint or a destination. It's a journey. It's a continuous process. So imperative 1 highlights that go away from one-time gates. It talks about the security process and the security gates that you have in place has to be dynamic. You cannot have a configure and forget approach. So it has to be dynamic. It has to be evolving. Imperative 1 stresses that point. Imperative 2 builds on that point, saying that it has to be continuously monitored, and you have to prioritize your security policies and gate configurations based on context. Context is very, very important here. And if you were to define in your cybersecurity, what is the number one thing that defines a cybersecurity? You will invariably find that application is a central component of any business, whether it is the way for engaging with your employees, the way for engaging with your partners. There are some sets of services and digital services that you're enabling consumptions online. And the one that is enabling those online services, you will find that is an application. An application is also the most dynamic and the most continuously and constantly changing aspect of your entire digital assets in your company. So getting the context while these are changing is very, very important. And you'll have to continuously monitor, understand the context, prioritize it, and then apply the security postures on your security gates. I'm going to give 2 examples here just to tell you what I mean by context. Just take an example of your application. Let's say it's a document management system. It could be an e-commerce, whatever it is. And let's say you have an authenticated users coming in and consuming some set of a service that you're offering for that user. In a perfectly normal context where the target audience is your employee, let's say, then most of your employees, let's say, are from India. And if the geolocation from which they're coming is India, it's a perfectly legitimate request and you let them in after authentication. But what are the same requests after authentication comes from Nigeria? So in the context of your application and the target audience, the fact that this request coming from Nigeria can trigger a different kind of trust policy decisions to be taken to throw in an additional authentication or additional trust verifications to be done. And a couple of examples I can give. One more example I can give in the context of an e-commerce application is they might have some rate control rules or some sort of a rules to distinguish between a human doing shopping versus a automated bot. And there will be some thresholds based on which they make a distinction. But suppose they do a Diwali Mela campaign, and during the Diwali Mela campaign, there is a big promotion that is going on. Those threshold rules that they have mentioned will dynamically change, because in that context, those rules and whatever limits they have put in place to distinguish between a human and bots, those has to be changed. And the context has to be changed in terms of timing, campaign, and the campaign landing pages based on which the posture has to change. So imperative 2, especially in the context of application, is consistently changing, has to be dynamic, and based on this context, you have to monitor and then apply the policies consistently. Imperative 3 talks about basically your entire security aspects has to move earlier in your entire development cycle. Now, people who are familiar with this concept of DevOps, shift left DevOps principles are becoming very, very common. What it means is, as part of your development and operations, there is this term called continuous integration and continuous development, which means you have to continuously keep making many changes quicker and quicker. And security has to become an integral and important aspect earlier in your cycle. So the new term now, instead of DevOps, it's actually by de facto become DevSecOps, where security is an integral part of your DevOps. So as part of your shift left, in your application development cycle, try to incorporate security assessment as part of your development cycle so that you can make the no-go decision, no-go decision based on the security assessment that has been done as early as possible. Now, those security assessment is going to translate into specific trust level policies of what has to be acted when there is a violation of those policies to build your defense. So one of the biggest things that people also miss out is in the context of an application, people are focused on functionality testing. People are looking at security assessment and make the code secure. But when you have gateways and when you have policies put in gateways that are going to front end your application, do the functionality testing again with the updated policies as frequently as possible to also catch false positive. Because when you have to make the trade-off between security, keeping the bad guys away, and a false positive which does not allow a good guy, the second one is actually a business impact. So false positive checks as an integral part of your trust assessment as early as possible with the latest and greatest trust policies has to be done continuously. The imperative 4, it talks about, and basically as part of the Carta image that you see on the left, it's called as shifting up the stack. Basically, don't look at it in isolation, look at it in the context of the entire stack, right? So moving up the stack provides more context, provides more integrated view of your application, and helps you take actionable steps based on the context you get. And this also ties in with imperative 7, which we'll talk later, by providing this shifting up the stack and providing a holistic view of your application security postures and actionable steps you take against it. You will also organizationally enable shift up decision making. Shift up is my term, our term that we coined. Shift up is basically security decisions should not be restricted only to the technologist. We had to provide the ability for those decisions to be taken in a very simple manner by business owners and CISOs and executives. Imperative 5 is talking that all of this, even though conceptually are good, for them to be applicable in this agile world where speed, how fast you are is more important than how big you are for your future existence and how fast you adapt. Technology is obviously going to play a very integral and automation is going to be important for you to get scale. And scale of your application to provide the capabilities that you want for your business to grow. Security should not come in its way. So as part of imperative 5, there are a few things that can be done immediately and a few things that also has to be done on a continuous basis based on the learnings from that you get from those tools. Like automate the understanding and security testing. QA automation has always been a big thing for a long time. Security assessment also has different pieces. One is context-based security assessment, which is can be done only manually, and the other is automated testing of standard test cases. So automate all your assessment as much as possible. Try to understand, and if the dynamic policies can be automated based on certain models you build based on the learning from your assessment. Where it is not possible, at least see if we can automate the alerting so that the right set of people with verification can update those stress policies without having false positives. False positives is certainly a very big thing in the context of application, because a false positive can actually is basically bringing down the business or not allowing legitimate people to transact with you. Illegitimate in the process of trying to keep illegitimate people away. Imperative 6 talks about, again, organizationally, you should not be working in silos. It talks about the entire stack should work in a harmonious manner. So break down those silos. And in the context of application, if you break down the components, there is security assessment, there is trust policies updates, and there is continuous monitoring. Try to see if all of them can be integrated and work in a harmonious manner to provide a singular view, with each reinforcing the capabilities of the other, whether it be tool, processes, reporting, whatever it is. And lastly, the imperative 7, all of this should allow business owners and not just technologists to be able to understand, decipher, and make data-driven decisions for security policies. The execution can still go back to the technologists or the partners or the vendors whom you entrust the responsibilities for executing, but the decision-making still should be enabled for business owners. Summarizing all of this in terms of the checklist for a CISO, again, a term that we have put together, CARTA operational checklist starts with assessment to understand the risk, with continuous updates to trust policies based on the risk assessment, translated into a very simple visibility of what your risk is currently, based on which you'll have to take actions and adaptive actions on trust policies and assessment scenarios on a continuous basis. And if you look at this terminology, each one of them is exactly the reverse of CARTA. That is how you have to think about it from an operational standpoint. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about each one of this in the context of the application managed WAF product that we ourselves had since 2017. I started off saying that we have been doing it prior to 2018. It's just that we now call it CARTA. The first one, which is one-time security gates, in the context of application security and the tools, you can think about it as a web application firewall with a dynamic trust policies as opposed to a one-time configuration. In the imperative 2, which talks about context and continuously discovering and monitoring, you can think about it in the context of getting visibility into the context, having actionable speed based on those contexts in terms of updating your trust policies through giving context information in the central portal. The 3 that talks about trust assessments being done early in the context of AppTrana and the application security, it is automated testing and on-demand manual testing that can be done at any point in your dev cycle. The 4 that Gartner talks about in terms of CARTA imperative, as in the context of application security, integrating all these individual components and also providing integration with third-party tools like say, SIM integration and reporting is going to make sure that you get full stack visibility. The 5 talks about automation and tools, analytics and everything. In the context of how we looked at it, it's real-time updates based on risk assessment through virtual patching and zero false positive with automated integration, as well as managed service to back it up with some testing to ensure there's no false positives. Imperative 6, which talks about breaking down the silos, all of these components has to be bundled together as much as possible to provide the correlated view between assessment, protection, and the monitoring triggers that are being generated. And lastly, all of this with a single pane of window and unified dashboard with backing of experts. You want scale at your application. Business owners should be able to take the decision, but the execution of that, you have to partner with experts or use in-house technology team. And we call that fully managed offering, either through an in-house technology team or through vendors, include that as part of that, enables you to meet the CARTA objectives, CARTA framework, but more importantly, secure your applications, keep it as a business enabler, protect yourself from future risks. That's it from my side. I think you can know more about this because it's a very high level view by visiting the virtual booth as part of the ETCISO. To close off, really a pleasure to have this opportunity. I'm looking forward to chat with each one of you to talk more about Carta, talk more about what we think about it, how we address it at our booth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Venkatesh, for that in depth presentation.